A heartbreaking confession from Taehyung shatters BTS's unity. Jungkook's silent exit leaves fans questioning everything they thought they knew. We used to be really close, but we're not like that anymore. Taehyung's voice was calm, soft, almost too careful, but it sliced through the room like a blade. Just seconds ago, the studio had been filled with laughter. The members had been teasing each other, playfully nudging, joking around like they always did. The air felt warm, comfortable, familiar. Then came a question. So, Taehyung, you've always been known as the soulmates of BTS. How does your friendship stay so strong through the years? The question wasn't strange. If anything, it was expected. Taehyung and Jungkook, Taehyung, had always been the pair fans obsessed over. The late-night live sessions, the shared hotel rooms, the glances during concerts that said everything without saying anything. But this time, Taehyung didn't smile. Not really. Instead, his lips tugged into something faint, something broken. We used to be really close, he repeated slowly. But we're not like that anymore. Maybe it was just time to change. For a moment, no one moved. The interviewer blinked, frozen. The crew behind the cameras exchanged nervous glances. Even the members stiffened. Hoseok shifted in his seat. Jin lowered his eyes. Namjoon opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but didn't. At the far end of the couch, Jungkook sat motionless, head down, shoulders tense. His right hand, resting on his knee, was clenched so tightly his knuckles had gone white. The only sound in the room was the soft hum of the lights overhead. Then Jungkook stood. He didn't speak, didn't look at the camera, didn't even pause when the producers called his name. He simply turned his head, just slightly, toward Taehyung. His eyes glistened, not quite tears, but close enough to burn. And then he walked out of the interview. Just like that, the internet imploded. The clips spread across every platform within minutes, like wildfire on gasoline. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Millions watched and rewatched the same 10 seconds of footage. Taehyung's quiet confession. Jungkook's silent departure. The hashtag surged. Hashtag Taehyung, hashtag what happened, hashtag BTS heartbreak, hashtag come back Jungkook. Some fans cried. Others were angry. Many were confused. Was it a fight? Was it a misunderstanding? Had their bond really broken? But no one had answers. Until 4 days later, when a video leaked that it wasn't official. The quality was grainy. The lighting was bad. But it didn't matter. In the video, Jungkook sat alone in a darkened studio, bathed in the pale blue glow of a single desk lamp. He wore thick-rimmed glasses. His hair was pulled back in a loose bun. And in front of him, a crumpled piece of paper trembled between his fingers. He took a breath and began to sing. You said I was home, but now you won't even sit with me under the same roof. His voice cracked near the end of the line. He stopped, swallowed, started again. Fans couldn't take it. They didn't know the song. It hadn't been released. No one had ever heard it. But every word sounded like a wound. Every note felt like a goodbye. He had written a song for Taehyung, and it hurt. The final show of the BTS World Tour was held at Tokyo Dome. Every seat was filled. Every light stick shone in violet waves. Every member smiled and waved at the crowd, except one. Taehyung. He was there, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. His movements were slower. His voice, though still golden, had a hesitation to it. Something heavy, something unresolved. Then, during the last segment of the concert, he walked forward. Not as V, not as the performer, but as Taehyung, the boy who used to laugh at 3 a.m. with someone who once called him my forever. He asked for the mic, and for a moment, the entire stadium fell silent. Sometimes we drift apart, he said, voice trembling, not because we don't care, but because we care too much about someone who's forgotten how to trust us. A soft murmur moved through the crowd. Then the LED screen behind him flickered to life. Photos. Dozens of them. Grainy, candid, never-before-seen shots. Taehyung and Jungkook laughing backstage, falling asleep on each other's shoulders, training together, hugging after their first win, whispering secrets during interviews, dancing barefoot in a studio at dawn. Memories that had long disappeared from the public eye. And then, just before the screen went dark, one final sentence appeared in bold white letters. If I walked away, It's only because I was afraid you'd leave first." The crowd erupted. Some screamed, some sobbed, but backstage, away from the lights and cameras, one person stood still in the shadows, watching. Jungkook. He looked at the screen, at the words, at the face of a boy who had once promised to never let go. Then he turned and walked away. Later that night, Taehyung's phone buzzed. One new voice message in caller ID. No name, just a single line. "I didn't write that song to blame you. I wrote it to tell you I'm still waiting." The practice room was suffocating. It wasn't the summer heat or the broken AC humming somewhere in the ceiling. It was something else, something colder, a silence that wrapped around their throats and made every breath feel heavier than it should. Taehyung stood by the mirror wall, eyes glued to his reflection, chest rising and falling in quick bursts. Sweat soaked the hem of his white tee. His hands were trembling, but not from exhaustion. Jungkook was behind him, still, unmoving, watching. "Just say it," Jungkook finally muttered, voice low, rough. Taehyung didn't turn around. "Say what? That you think I should have stayed away from him?" The silence returned. But this time, it screamed. Taehyung's jaw clenched. He closed his eyes. He didn't need to ask who him was. They were 17. Still trainees. Still scared kids pretending to be men, held together by the fragile glue of shared dreams and late-night ramen. The night before, Jungkook had been seen at a cafe near Gangnam, laughing with someone no one had expected. A former trainee, a name Taehyung had buried and locked away. Someone who'd once tried to break him down from the inside and almost succeeded. "He's not like before," Jungkook had said earlier that day, casually, like it meant nothing. He apologized, said he regrets what happened. But for Taehyung, forgiveness had never been the issue. It was the betrayal. "You don't even remember what he said about me, do you?" Taehyung finally whispered. Jungkook's gaze dropped. "I remember." "Then why?" Taehyung turned, voice cracking. "Why would you go to him?" "I didn't go to him." Jungkook's voice rose. "He found me. I was trying to be decent. It's not like You lied to me," Taehyung snapped. "That's the part that hurts. You lied. Years passed. The world changed. They debuted. They shone. They stood under spotlights so blinding. No one saw the cracks forming beneath, but the lie stayed. Unspoken, unaddressed, like a splinter under skin, too small to notice, until the skin festered and pain became a part of daily life. Now, in the present, Taehyung scrolled through his phone, replaying the voice message again and again. "I didn't write that song to blame you. I wrote it to tell you I'm still waiting." He sat in his apartment, lights dimmed, curtains drawn. Outside, the city pulsed with life. Inside, all he could hear was that voice, Jungkook's voice, breaking through the silence they'd both let grow between them. He opened his notes app, typed, deleted, typed again. "I never stopped caring. I just forgot how to say it." But he didn't send it, that he just stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Meanwhile, across the river, Jungkook sat on his rooftop, guitar resting across his lap. The stars were out tonight, clearer than usual. He plucked a string, then another. A melody formed, soft, unfinished. His phone buzzed beside him, a message from an unknown contact. "You shouldn't have told him you're still waiting." Jungkook stared at it, breath halting. Then came a second message. "Already know he won't come back." Jungkook typed out a reply, then hesitated, because the number, the one sending the texts, was familiar. Too familiar. Flashback. 2 years ago, the same number had messaged him late at night. "Be careful who you trust. Not everyone who smiles at you is your friend." Back then, he thought it was just a say-seeing, or maybe someone from the company playing power games. But now, the timing was too precise. The voice in the messages felt personal, calculated. Someone knew too much. Cut to a secret meeting room inside the HYBE building. An executive sat behind a desk, watching clips on a private server. The leaked song, the interview fallout, the LED screen at the concert, everything. "You did well," the executive murmured into a phone. "They're finally unraveling." A pause, then a smile, just like we planned. Back in his apartment, Taehyung's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo. in Osinder ID, just a grainy image of Jungkook crying in the studio. The same one from the leaked video. But this angle, this one was never supposed to exist. Taehyung's chest tightened. Who was watching them? It started as a chill, a subtle tingle at the nape of Taehyung's neck, like someone had brushed a cold hand across his skin. He stared at the photo on his phone, heart pounding. It wasn't just the image itself that unsettled him. He remembered that day. A rainy afternoon in 2019, late spring. He and Jungkook had ducked into an empty dance studio after hours, laughing, drenched from the sudden downpour. They took silly selfies on Jungkook's phone. No one else had been there. No one. In the photo, now sitting in Taehyung's hands, a figure stood in the corner of the mirrored wall, half obscured by shadow. No face, just a silhouette. Watching, he didn't remember that. Neither did Jungkook. Across town, Jungkook was pacing. The rooftop no longer felt like a refuge. The air felt heavier. The text messages still burned in his mind. You already know he won't come back. You did this to yourself. He'd blocked the number. But somehow the text kept coming. Different senders. Same tone, and always the same kind of message. You broke him first. He didn't know what hurt more. That someone was watching them, or that part of him believed those words. Flashback. 2016, back when their bond was still golden and unshakable. Jungkook had a habit. He always made 2 cups of instant coffee during practice breaks. One for him, one for Taehyung, even if Taehyung didn't want one. Even if they just argued. The cup would still be there, hot, sweet, waiting. But one day, Taehyung didn't drink it. He just looked at the cup, then looked at Jungkook, and walked away. That was the first time Jungkook felt a fracture. Small but sharp. He never stopped making the second cup. But after a while, he stopped hoping it would be touched. Now, years later, Jungkook stood in front of his laptop, staring at a message from an anonymous Dropbox link. New file. 2018 _cam04. He clicked. The footage was security cam quality, shaky, low res. The angle faced a small practice room. 2 boys stood inside. Taehyung. Jungkook. It was right after a minor fight. They weren't speaking. Jungkook leaned against the wall, eyes to the floor. Taehyung sat on the ground, back to him. Then, just before the clip ended, the door opened. Someone walked in, face pixelated. Blurred, almost intentionally. But whoever was walked right up to Taehyung, leaned in, and whispered something into his ear. Jungkook never saw it. The clip ended before Taehyung turned around. And suddenly, Jungkook realized there were pieces of their story missing. Moments stolen. Conversations neither of them remembered, but someone else did. Meanwhile, Taehyung had reached a breaking point. He sat across from Namjoon at a quiet cafe. Hoodie pulled low, eyes sunken. He knew. Taehyung said softly, fingers playing with a spoon. Someone was there that day. In the mirror. I don't remember them. But they do. Namjoon didn't speak. He just listened. I keep thinking, what if none of this was just us drifting apart? What if someone wanted us apart? Namjoon stirred his coffee. You want the truth? Taehyung looked up. I think someone's been playing this game a long time. And we were too busy being grateful for the spotlight to notice the shadows. Taehyung's phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, just one sentence. He would have forgiven you if you hadn't lied first. That night, Jungkook did something he hadn't done in over a year. He opened a hidden folder on his computer, one even he had almost forgotten existed. Inside were hundreds of voice memos. Things he recorded when words were too hard to say out loud. He played one. Dated October 11th, 2022. I told him I was fine, that I was okay with space. But I'm not. I miss him. Every day. I think I'm just waiting for him to look at me like I'm still home. He closed his eyes. Then he opened another. This one was different. A distorted voice. A message he didn't remember recording. Separate them. Quietly. Feed out. Plant whispers. They'll tear themselves apart if you give them enough silence. His blood ran cold. Who recorded that? He checked the file's metadata. It was created 6 months ago. The same week they had that final fight. The same week Taehyung stopped answering his calls. Back in the HYB building, the same executive from before watched the feeds. Camera 3. Taehyung, Camera 7. Jungkook. Both of them dancing alone in different rooms. Both of them, hearts full of words they still couldn't say. The executive lit a cigarette, smiled faintly. "They'll never see the full picture," he muttered, "but when they do, it'll be too late." The package sat on Jungkook's kitchen counter like a quiet threat. No label. No name. Just a plain black flash drive inside, taped to a single Polaroid of him and Taehyung, sleeping on the dorm couch, heads leaning against each other. Someone had been there. Close enough to touch them. He plugged it in. The screen went black. Then static. Then video. Grainy handheld footage. Recorded from inside their dorm. It was a night Jungkook vaguely remembered. Winter, post-tour exhaustion, laughter, late-night ramyun. Taehyung had fallen asleep first, curled up on the couch. Jungkook had joined later, muttering something about how they needed to stop pretending like things weren't different. In the video, both of them looked peaceful. But what made Jungkook's blood freeze wasn't the footage. It was the reflection in the glass of the window, barely visible. A figure stood behind camera, watching, smiling, and then came the voice, distorted. "Calm. What you called friendship was always my experiment." Taehyung knew something was wrong the moment he stepped into the old practice room again. The IT still smelled like sweat and dust, like ghosts of melodies unfinished. In the corner, taped under a bench, he found a folded note, written in black ink. "Ask him about Busan. 2018. His breath hitched. There was only one night that fit. The night Taehyung had waited outside Jungkook's room, heart in his throat, after they'd fought during soundcheck. He waited for hours. Jungkook never came out. What Taehyung never knew was that Jungkook wasn't there. Episode 5 opens with a new memory. Jungkook in Busan, 2018. A surprise solo schedule. A private meeting arranged by someone from the management team. "You're the favorite," the man had said. "You have star quality. But attachments like him, they'll only hold you back." They showed him pictures. Taehyung laughing with someone Jungkook didn't know. Text pulled out of context. Video clips cut to suggest betrayal. "I thought I could trust him," Jungkook whispered to himself now, staring at the same folder all these years later. "But someone wanted me to doubt him." He did. For a long time, that's when the silence began. Back in Seoul, Taehyung met with Namjoon and Yoongi in secret. "You think this was personal?" Yoongi asked. "They've been trying to control all of us since day one." Namjoon slid over an old internal report from HYB's archives. Codename, Project Prism. A program designed to monitor and manage internal dynamics for optimized group productivity. Translation, manipulate relationships, break bonds if they threaten the brand. And guess which bond was listed first? Taehyung. Jungkook confronts Taehyung backstage during a solo rehearsal. "You waited outside my door, and I wasn't even there," Jungkook says, voice shaking. "They sent me away that night. They made me think you stopped caring." Taehyung stares, stunned. "I thought you shut me out. I was protecting something that was already being stolen from me," Jungkook says. And for the first time in years, they both realize the distance between them wasn't theirs. The IT was manufactured, grown carefully, weaponized, but the damage was real. In a dark room deep within the HYB archives, Taehyung and Jungkook found it. A hard drive labeled simply Prism_Audit_Final. Inside were years of internal memos, surveillance logs, and psychological reports on every BTS member. Most of it focused on them. Every time they laughed too long. Every late-night conversation that veered too close to intimacy. Every lyric that felt too personal. Every attempt to pull them apart, logged and coldly analyzed. Like lab rats. They didn't just want to protect the group, Taehyung whispered. They wanted to control what love looked like. With Namjoon and Yoongi helping behind the scenes, the plan began to form. Not just to confront the system, but to expose it. During a scheduled variety shoot, Jungkook slipped out. Taehyung followed minutes later. What aired instead that day was not a game show or performance. It was the footage. Their footage, the real story, clips from their stolen past, the planted lies, the manipulated truths. The internet exploded. Fans wept. Some were furious. Some refused to believe it. But the ones who knew, who had felt that unspoken distance, recognized the pain instantly. HYB tried to pull the plug. Too late. The story had already spread beyond them. On the night of their final tour show in Tokyo, a blackout hit the stadium mid-performance. When the lights came back on, the stage was empty, except for 2 microphones and a single spotlight. Jungkook stepped out first. Then Taehyung. No dancers. No techniques. Just them. Hearts on the line. Taehyung took the mic, hands trembling. They told us we'd be stronger apart. That closeness was a weakness. That love was distracting. He looked at Jungkook, but we're done being quiet. And then they sang a new, unreleased song. The title wasn't spoken, but fans would come and know it by heart. Even when you didn't call, I heard you. It wasn't just a ballad. It was an apology. A declaration that a war cry dressed in harmony to be why the final chorus. The entire stadium was singing in choreography. No perfect formations, just truth. The final night of the tour had arrived. Tokyo Dome was packed, the crowd buzzing with anticipation for BTS's last performance of their world tour. But something felt different in the air, something heavy, like the final act of a drama that had been building for years. Taehyung and Jungkook stood backstage, moments before going on. The weight of everything they'd uncovered pressed down on them. Memories, betrayals, and the world they once thought they knew. The whispers of manipulation and broken trust echoed in their minds. But now they stood together, not apart. This is it, Jungkook said quietly, his voice filled with a strange resolve. We don't go back after this. Taehyung looked at him, nodding slowly. No more silence. They took the stage, the crowd roared, but the two of them remained still for a moment. No choreography, no elaborate intro. Just 2 microphones, 2 hearts exposed. Jungkook stepped forward first, his voice shaking only slightly. We've been through so much together, but tonight, we're finally going to tell you the truth. Taehyung took his place next to him, the spotlight illuminating their faces, and for the first time in years, they were truly together. No more walls, no more lies. Jungkook looked out into the sea of faces, his words cutting through the silence. They tried to break us, told us love was a weakness, that we were too close, too strong. Taehyung turned to him, their eyes locking. But that wasn't love. That was control. And tonight, we take that back. And with that, the music began. The song was raw, real, and unfiltered. The lyrics hit deep. Every word an apology, every note a confession. It wasn't just a performance. It was their truth laid bare for the world to hear. They sang about the manipulation, the doubts, and the pain they'd carried for so long. They sang about the love they'd almost lost. The crowd, initially stunned, slowly began to join in, singing with them, feeling the weight of their pain. The chorus hit, and for a brief moment, the world seemed to stop. Even when you didn't call, I heard you. The stadium erupted as the two of them stood together, finally in sync, finally free. As the last notes of the song faded, there was a moment of pure silence. It was the kind of silence that felt like the whole world was holding its breath. But then the cheers came, a wave of support, of understanding, flooding through the stadium. It wasn't just about the song anymore. It was about the truth. Backstage, Namjoon, Yoongi, and the others were watching, their eyes wide as they saw their friends, their brothers, finally standing strong. No more secrets, no more pretending. They had all known for a long time that the truth would eventually come out, but seeing it unfold, seeing their bond restored in front of thousands of fans, it was something else entirely. But as the applause continued, the story wasn't over. In a dark corner of the arena, a HYB board member stood, holding a letter. His face was grim as he read it. His fingers trembled slightly as he turned to the others in the room. They weren't the only experiment, he muttered. The letter contained more than just BTS's broken bond. It contained photos of other artists, other friendships, all twisted in the same way. It was clear now. This wasn't just about Taehyung and Jungkook. This was a pattern, a system designed to manipulate and control the very people they built their empire around. Namjoon stood frozen, the weight of the realization sinking in. He glanced at Yoongi, who was already reaching for his phone, ready to act. The war against the system wasn't over. It had only just begun.